You don't need a capital. What you need is expertise. Yes, you don't need a capital. What you need is an expertise. Now, look critically at the situation around us today. Our universities and other tertiary institutions are now like factories, churning out thousands of graduates every year. Like factories, like industries in batch production. As these graduates are being churned out, they are coming out with high hopes, with utopian dreams of a big dream job somewhere. And all of a sudden, they are on their own because they find themselves in a reality that they were not prepared for. There is no job out there. Gone are the days where we're talking about government job. Even the private jobs are not there. There is no job. And when there is no job, what is the next thing? That question is only applicable in our own climate, in our own environment, because it is not supposed to be the next thing. The first thing before you go to school, not out when you come out of school, the first thing before you even go to school is to start asking yourself, what am I going to do with my education? What positive thing am I going to do? How am I going to be useful to myself? How am I going to be economically viable? Let's narrow down to economic concerns now. And thus, your coming out of school should be a homecoming of another job creator, not the job seeker. But sadly, in our climate today, the first thing we think of is the job I'm going to get when I graduate. This is what we think when we go to school. So when we come out of school, the job is not there. Then before we start thinking of the next thing, before we start thinking of the first thing as the next thing. Now, let's accept our reality. So the next thing in our own environment now is what do I do? The good news, there is the good news and there's the bad news. The good news is that there is a whole lot of financial and economic opportunity out there. That's the good part of it. As a matter of fact, according to Jack Ma, where there are complaints, that is where there's an opportunity. And I will quote Aliko Dangote in his message to Nigerian youths that the amount of wealth in Nigeria to be tapped through business and enterprising is so much that what they, not just him, what they, that is him and other people, the boys and the $10 and every other person in their, cadre, what they have been able to harness or amass so far is just a scratch. Just a scratch compared to what is there in terms of the potentials. So this is the good news, that there are a lot of problems to be solved. That means there are a lot of money to be made. That is the whole concept of a business. Solve a problem, bring a goods closer, or manufacture it, or make a service better, or introduce it, something like that. There's a lot of business opportunity out there. But the problem is, perhaps we have been wrongly schooled in our senior secondary school days of factors of production, land, labor, capital, and organization or entrepreneurship. You remember? Now, one thing that is very wrong about this is the fact that time was not mentioned specially. And that is why Nigerian youths waste a lot of time today in playtime, pastime, and fun. But that's a talk for another day. The focus here is the mention of capital. It's done in such a way that is no longer in tune with our reality today. Because talking about capital, let's not be naive about this. You do need a capital to start a business. And we are saying here you don't need a capital. This is an oxymoron. So when there's an oxymoron, we need to pay close attention. Now let's break through this. The problem of capital to start a business is a simple thing. If you're going to start a service rendering business, you're going to need some startups capital or some sinking funds to put in the necessary apparatus or maybe office space or some kind of a means to render that service, right? Some equipment to render that service. And some other things that I may not mention that will need money in terms of service rendering. And if it's going to be goods, you will need capital to buy those goods before you can resell them, or to produce those goods, or to process them, or to repackage them, whatever, or to improve them, whatever that it is in the line of goods handling business that I might not mention here. So the problem of capital becomes a very huge and serious bane, stumbling block on the path to self-employment, self-dependency, and entrepreneurship. Especially in our environment, in our climate, where the banks have gone off rail, derailed, totally derailed. The banks are supposed to locate and connect with people who have a viable and secured investment, and they need capital, and they can't get access to capital. The bank is just a bridge between the owner of the money and the investor of the money. It's supposed to collect, keep, document, and then give out, document, watch, monitor, advise, guide, and things like that. And the whole process of financial flow is controlled, and managed this way. But the banks will not do this today. They rather sit duck in their air condition, put on their ties, and become egotistic and waiting for the big man with the collateral like house, landed property coming, give you a loan. They don't care what you're going to do with it. And this is why one big problem with the economy. That is why they will employ anybody. Yes, because their job is now limited. But they are supposed to do much more than that. They're supposed to locate, track, guide, and mentor investment. So, in a nutshell, you get into the bank today as a youth out there, maybe in my shoes, in our shoes, a young graduate, fresh graduate, the millions of people out there I'm talking to now that are disenfranchised in the Nigerian enterprise. People that have spent years and money and opportunity cost acquiring an education that is today useless, can feed them. The large army of youth out there, they are now given to crime because of the fact that everywhere seems first, deadlock. They are surrounded, no job. And those who want to be creative, who want to be enterprising, there's no capital. This is what I'm addressing. Now, you can't get capital from the bank in terms of in the form of facilities, because where are you going to get the collateral? Where are you going to get landed properties? Where are you going to get with CFO and all these bogus criteria? Where are you going to get these things as an upcoming young man or woman? Where are you going to get them from? So you turn away from there. And if you do get them, the interest rate is backbreaking. The interest rate is backbreaking. The next place to look at is perhaps government grants. Today we have politicians that sadly, because of our own failures and our own misgivings and our own ignorance and our own apathy and our own indifference, our life is now being directed and architected and engineered by sociopolitically by people who, I don't know what word to use to be respectful, but people who can hardly put one and two together to make three are now the ones in charge of our affairs. So they rather throw money and waste money in nonsensical ways than think of making grants available for viable entrepreneurs. What people like Tony and Lubelu Foundation and so many others that I may not mention here are doing is what our government, our governors are supposed to be doing. Not flaunting cars and parties and masquerading and jamborees and houses, useless houses that are not, you may not use, or economically non-viable projects, and just waste of money. So there is no grant coming from the government. Yes, let's be fair. There is this particular administration that have tried to do well in terms of making grants available for entrepreneurs. I don't want to mention a specific name of that administration because we're not supposed to be involved in partisan politics here. But there's a particular administration. If you are current, you should know the administration I'm talking about at the federal level that has at least done well in terms of trying to push money out there. But sadly, the corruption problem, you see that the money is going to the wrong hands, going back to the politicians again and their families and the people who are supposed to disburse these funds, But that's it. At the end of the day, there is no capital for you again through that avenue. So the next avenue to look at will be what we call investors, freelance investors, people you can just walk up to. You feel that these are business-minded people. These are people who have the money to invest and to sink somewhere. So you can usually have an agreement with them just to ensure that they bankroll you. But sadly, again, our own climb, it seems as if money is in the wrong hands. Our so-called big men who are technically poor men, yes, because if your money is not, your wealth is not adding value to society, you're a poor man. Yes. So these people are not, they're not intellectually active, or they're not intellectually connected to the point that they can understand the value of SMEs in terms of economics. They don't understand what it means to have an investment that will grow, even if it is trickling in terms of profit. They don't understand the domino effect, the multiplier effect of having pockets of enterprises here and there. They don't understand this. The only thing they look at is cash cows, places they will put their money that will just be churning out, money like as though it were blood money. That is why you go to our so-called big men out there, they look at you, what investment are you talking about? So long as it's not hotel or another fueling station, they are not interested. And that's why you have a litany of hotels and filling station, messing up or polluting our environment today. You look everywhere you see viable land, useful land has been all messed up with abandoned, dilapidated, moribund filling stations. That is why they build them. It's in vogue. Everybody's going there to buy fuel. In the next 6 months, 1 year, it's packed up and they have gone. They continue to build these things, of course, because it aids them in their bunkering activities overnight. They have this is what they are interested in. They are not, because of course in the first place they didn't get that money through a viable means. They didn't get that money through a legitimate process, through an intellectual process. Money they stumble upon via corruption or one thing or the other. So they're not interested. They didn't pass through that road, so they will not understand what it takes to pass through the road. Or hotels. Build one hotel, and the next year is abandoned, and go to another one. It's stuff like that. Just hotels, filling stations. That's all our so-called investors can think of in this climb today. So it's difficult to connect with them, to get them to invest in SMEs, and so because they would think, when is this? They were thinking like, when is this profit going to add up? When am I going to have a return on investment? And they will start, how many years return on investment? Your ROI is going to be like 5, 6 years, maybe 10 years, 15 years. What's that? I put my money, put my 10 million naira here, put my 5 million naira here, put my 2.5 million here, put my 1 million naira here. How long is it going to take? They are interested in filling stations, so that that's the only opportunity they have to make opportunistic money. When there's a rumor of fuel hike, and they just hike it all of a sudden, you make millions, just opportunistic money, just money from the sufferings applied to people, panic buying, things like that. So we have a problem of capital. So that is why our youths, everybody, any intellectually, any entrepreneurial minded youth will be asking, I want to start a business, there's no capital. Where is the capital? I need a capital to start business. But you don't need a capital. What you need is an expertise. I kept saying this, and today I'm not going to discuss this theoretically. I'm going to discuss this practically. I'm going to use scenarios. There was a day, one of these young minds posted on Facebook that, thinking he wants to mock motivational speakers, saying that those who claim you can start a business without a capital, point out one business. And I asked him, okay, reach me on my inbox. If you are so humble enough to learn, reach me on my inbox. I was not going to give him that knowledge for free. And he reached out to me on my inbox. And I started to educate him on so many businesses he can start without a capital. At the end of the day, what he said was a thank you. And he dropped his notion and became, reorientated. You don't really need the capital. And when we say you don't need the capital, don't be naive. It's not as if, even if it is 100 naira, it's a capital. There are some business you can do with your phone. That data, the money you used to buy the data, is a capital. But what we say you don't need the capital is that the capital we say you don't need is the capital that is out of your reach, that will now debar you. But you do need a capital, but whatever you need in form of capital is within your reach. The money you used to buy the phone is a capital, but you don't buy the phone because you are doing a business with it. You are buying the phone because you see it as a necessity. So you should now cash into that opportunity. That's why we're saying you don't need the capital, even though you need money to buy the phone. You will subscribe, business or no business, you will subscribe. It has become like the food and drugs we take now to subscribe. So you will subscribe. So that money is a capital. But what we are saying you don't need the capital is that you already have it. So you don't be looking for another capital. What you need is expertise. Know the value of what you have. The world has changed. I'll give you another case study of one of these brilliant minds that Providence has put under my mentorship. It's a young, brilliant chap, graduated from school and teaching somewhere. And these days salaries within the take home, like one of my friends would say, will not take you home. So he reached out to me. That was the time I visited his town, and I gave him an appointment. He met me in the hotel, so we're in the room together, and he was talking to me about how things are difficult and stuff like that. And talking about better job and stuff. So, young man, brother, disabuse your mind from this job talk. Think of something else. I first of all try to inspire him, try to motivate him, and think about business. And he was like, wow, capital. No. Calm down. The first thing I did was after some talk, I gave him 2 books, if I could remember correctly, to read. One was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and the other one was You Can Win by Chef Hira. And I don't really think I asked him to be discussing them with me chapter by chapter after he's finished reading. I didn't really think he finished reading that book. Boom. He didn't even tell me. All I saw was he started a business. He's into this perfume and fragrance business. You might have seen him on social media. So let me use the opportunity to, support his endeavor, A&B Fragrance. So do please patronize him. Inspired young man trying to make ends meet. And he started this business, and see him marketing enthusiastically on Facebook, and wow, he's doing well. So I kept watching until he came back to me. Sir, thank you very much. I'm improving, but what I need X and X amount of money now. Can you help me source for it? And I smiled. I said, look, the question is not can I. The question is will I? Will I? I won't help you source for it. I told him, I said, you don't need that money. Well, number one, once you get that money, I am assuring you, you don't start a business on loan, even if the loan is a soft loan without an interest. Chances are that you've not really established expertise. You've not really garnered expertise. You're getting yourself involved in loans. Even if it is soft, chances are that you spend on consumables 50% of that money before you even start getting the picture right of what you're going to use it for. And then before your business can grow to the point that it can accumulate the profit that will pay back that loan, then you end up in a perpetual cycle of indebtedness. That's not it. Grow expertise first. Forget about capital. Capital will come after you later. When you have stand out with a unique expertise. Just be hardworking. And I told him, he said he wants a shop. I said, you don't need a shop to sell perfumes, for God's sake. You're going to stock, how many people have you seen selling just perfume? You're going to stock a whole shop with a perfume. Can you take care of the rentage of that shop? You think, what makes there's no perfume you're selling that any other person is not selling. That you think that they're going to leave their places to come to you and buy perfumes. So why are you going to stock a whole shop with a perfume? You don't need that. You don't even need to stock. So what will you need the capital for? You want to stock? You want to buy a lot of perfume? You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need a shop. Once you stock, one, you run into chances. You run into the risk of them, damaging, the bottles and some other things. That is one. Secondly, once you open the shop, the tax guys come after you. The rentage on the shop, the security bills on the shop, and so many other things on the shop. This alone will break you down, and you are just a beginner. You can't afford all these liabilities now. You can't afford all this overhead. So what you do need now is develop the expertise first. Forget about capital. How? You use your skills to market. So you don't need capitals to buy and sell these days. No, we already have people who are busy manufacturing, or who have the money. They don't have the time to market it. You just be a marketer or a sales agent, so to speak, and nobody knows. You do your marketing. You don't need a shop. Your Facebook account, your business account, your WhatsApp, your Twitter, or whatever it is your shop. Put your stock there in pictures. The goods might not necessarily need to be with you. Get the pictures. Get them online. Download them. There's nothing you can't download. Or reach to the people who have them, who are going to supply you. Tell them to send you the pictures. They send you the pictures. Upload them. People will contact you. Then you order for it, building your own profit, waybill it to them, or deliver it to them physically. That is one. Secondly, you start building a network of waybill that can do it cheaper. If you're just going to start walking to a park to waybill a goods to someone somewhere, they will charge you normally. But you go around, talk to drivers, make friends, have connection. Then you discover someone who goes from your town to a particular town, maybe every week or every Monday or even every day. And that person can even be helping you. That's your network. This is expertise. Once you build this thing, this is where your money is. This person will be helping you doing this, and you, because it's not at a cost to him or her, he's going there after all. He goes to job, perhaps from your town to that town. He will go anyway without your goods. Now he helps you take your goods to his office. You tell the other guy at the other end, meet this such and such person in such and such place, give him such and such amount of money, and collect the goods. Simple and short. Now, once this is done, you have saved yourself some money that you're supposed to spend ordinarily on way bill. Now, steps like this will help you to avoid or to escape the need for so much capital, so to speak. You see, concerning the original capital to buy the goods, going back to that point, I told him, all you need to do is make your research, reach out to people, make a commitment, have some connection, and keep to your words. Be trustworthy. There are people who readily supply you, right? Most of these shops you see, Tamukul, these branded, Samsung branded shops, the people who own the shop are merely entrepreneurs. They are not buying those products. The company will supply them, deliver them. They will always sell and credit the company's account, and they will receive more goods. It's a condition. That's all. So all you need is this expertise, the smartness, the ability to solve problems. The manufacturers are busy manufacturing, and you are good at selling. Now sell for them, and everybody gets smiles home to the bank. Okay. So I told him, you reach out to people who sell these fragrances, make them understand, build a trust, just get them to trust you and maintain that trust. They supply you once you have a demand. They supply you, you deliver, collect your funds, keep your own percentage, and credit them back. They supply you again. This is how the cycle continues until you become a big shot, a very big shot, until the more you buy from them, you continue to ask and press home for discount, because the more quantity you buy from them, the lesser the price, the cost is to you, and you also make money on this side too. Now, I've talked about your price of way bill. Make these connections. So I am aware of a lady in Taraba State, a law student, who is sponsoring her own education and that of her younger sister. She sells shoes. It's not as if she buys those shoes to sell. No, she simply go to the shop, collect nice shoes, different shops. She has that trust already, and then snaps them, market them. She sells them, return the money for the shoes, keep her own commission, or so to speak, right? She goes to parks, mega parks, garages, and she talks to people. The fact that she's educated, enhances her communication skills, and she has the right attitude. This is something else coming. We have reached another very critical point we need to elucidate. Your attitude. You're looking for capital you want a capital, 2 million naira, you stock your shop and put your legs crossed there, watch maybe DSTV and look on for a customer to come in. No. Keep your ego aside. Go with your fragrance. Go with your commodity. Go to the parks. Go to people's office. I know of a lady who would go in a very, nice, crispy looking, handbag into offices. You don't know what the content. The content is soup ingredients, melon grind, crayfish, things like that, pepper, mashed tomato, things like that, frozen, just ingredients, soup ingredients. She goes to their office, she gives to them, they buy, because by the time she saves them, she solves a problem. By the time they close from the office, drive through the traffic jam, they hold up to the market and back home, it's Herculean. So she solved that problem. She comes, in fact, when they don't see her, they call her. What am I going to cook today? Hey, this, that, I'm waiting for you. Stuff like that. And she make a whole lot of money from this. Keep that certificate aside. Keep your ego aside. Put on the right attitude. Be humble. Be able to solve problems. Be smart. Expertise, not capital. Not capital. So I was able to convince him like this. So I told him, I won't help you to dig your own grave. I want to help you get that XYZ amount of money that I'm sure you're not going to be able to pay back, because I suffered that while I was at your own stage trying to find my feet in business. We were looking for capital before idea. We got capital before expertise. I remember how much I became indebted because the capital came in before you can even picture out perfectly what you're going to do with the capital. You already spent it more than 80%. This is the reality. You don't need the capital. What you need is an expertise. And when you do need a capital, it won't be something out of your reach once you have the necessary expertise. But don't forget that the world is no longer what it is. The market today is 8 billion people. You have access to 8 billion people in the world. God, see the phone you are holding. You can sell to anybody anywhere. Right? You can sell to anybody anywhere. And your shop is your platform. It's your wall. It's your account, your whatever account, your Google account, your WhatsApp, your Facebook, and this social media account. This is your shop. And at the level you are just coming up trying to find your feet, the tax guys they're not interested in hearing your stories. They just come and tax you. So you don't need a shop at this level until you are able to establish an empire. Aha! Then you can be thinking about a shop where you can, stuff like that. Yep. So this impasse of around capital, no capital to start a business. You can start some business with as little as almost no capital, or sometimes you don't even need capital to start a business. So many business you can do. You can help someone market their own goods. You can help someone market their own services. Yes, or you can render services without even a capital. There are people that rent equipment and tools. You could go rent those equipments. You get paid, take the amount of your own service, your own skills and labor, and then pay for the equipment you rented. You can always do that after collecting the money. You can always do that. All you need to do is render a good service. People always call you. People always reach out to you. Nobody cares if you have the equipment or not. Nobody cares where you are from. What they care for is you are able to render a service to them. So if it has to do with goods, you can always collect the goods from the distributors, the warehouse, the manufacturers, and always sell and return, take your commission and return back to them. You can always do this. You can become a blogger. You can become a YouTube blogger. You can become a WordPress blogger. You can become name it. You can become a freelance writer. You write content for people's sites or for people's for website and other such avenues, and you get paid for these things. You get paid for. So starting a business, is true that capital is a factor, but it's not a factor that is so totalitarian or absolute that if you don't have so much of it, then you cannot start a business. First of all, craft out an idea and follow this line, follow this line of expertise, to this line of advice we've just shared with you, and you discover that sometimes the capital you need is already in your hands. So if you really want to start something, if you want to stop your excuse, I want to start humble. You want to start small. That's the word. Start small. The big problem with many of us today out there is that we have our heads up in the clouds. It's good to dream big, but start small. It's good to think globally, but act locally. Yes, start small. When you talk about dreaming big, you don't forget that there's a difference between a dream and a goal. Have big dreams, but have small goals that break the big dream into small, achievable goals that are realistic, that are smart, they are small, they are measurable. Are you with me now? They are realistic and they are time-based. What you can achieve now, that will build up to your big dream. That's it. So dreams are just dreams. The goals will help you to achieve those dreams. So it's good to dream big, but start small. Our problem, we want to start big. We want to come out big so that nobody will be able to tell the stories of a humble beginning. It doesn't happen even in the movies. Even in the movies, it doesn't happen like that. You always start from somewhere. So start small, be humble, discard those ego, discard your profile, discard being a graduate, discard what does it do? Being a graduate can't put food on your table. Can't even get you a wife. Now that can get you a husband. Can't get you a clothes. Can't get you anything these days. And so on. There's a graduate in every other family. So discard these things and start small. Once you are ready to start small and allow yourself to consolidate and build up, then you discover that what you don't need a capital. What you need is an expertise. Stay inspired with AL-HABEEB. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.